Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Tricky Takes podcast. I'm Connor, and with me, I've got Austin, and returning finally, we've got Billy back with us today.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back.
Welcome back. The prodigal son returns.
Yes, we're very happy to have you back, Billy. As Austin and I mentioned last week in our episode of talking about that crazy trade deadline that we had, we're doing our July team of the month. As you know, this is always one of our favorite segments. And we're just going to dive right in and start, as always, as we do, with the catcher position. And this month, we all agreed pretty easily that it was Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals. I mean, 337 batting average, 9 homers from the catcher position, which actually tied Cal Raleigh, who, if you didn't know, is the major league home run leader. And then just to add in another 14 runs and 21 RBIs to that team is an outstanding month. And then didn't play terrible defense behind the plate either. I mean, not the Salvi that we're used to seeing in years past, but a little closer than what we've seen some earlier on in this year. So great month from Perez.
Yeah, big boost to the Royals as well, who came into the season with high expectations and have kind of, been under the radar and not meeting those expectations most of the year. So definitely good to get him rolling and just good to see, a guy like Salvi who's, bona fide Hall of Famer, a legend, to, continue to put up strong performances month in, month out, and really good to see him get going.
Yeah, and as you can see by our new graphic that we have up, showing sort of a game log is what it is of all the players' games during this month. You can see the Royals got hot, a lot of green over there in that win-loss column, and I think the other fascinating thing to look at is over there on the far right of that stats page, the OPS. You can see he started this month coming into it with a 670 OPS, had a 1.098 OPS for the month, and then ended the month nearly 100 points higher than he came in with a 754 OPS leaving the month. So anytime you can boost your OPS by
Mhm.
about 80 points in the month of July, that's pretty good for this far into the season.
Absolutely. So, Billy, why don't you let us know who our first baseman was?
So I think our first baseman is one of the only guys that can really rival what we saw last year out of Shohei Ohtani when he had, quote unquote, the best day in baseball history. That's Nick Kurtz, who had just probably topped Shohei Ohtani's day if you don't include the fact that Shohei went 50-50 on that day and created a new club. Um, what were the final stats? It was four
Six
home
for
runs.
six, 4 homers,
Yeah,
19 total
19
bases.
total bases.
This is like a game of Where's Waldo in this game log. See if you can find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, just an all-time performance out of Nick Kurtz, and he had a great rest of the month as well. Hit 395 on the month with a 480 on base and a 953 slug, 27 RBIs on the month. So even without that game, he's likely going to be the best first baseman for the month. So um, hats off to Nick Kurtz. I think even if he had a pretty sluggish rest of the month, he still would be on this list just due to the fact that he had that game. Um, so I know Austin has mentioned that before.
Yeah, we definitely go by, who has the best stats, but we also include any major milestones more so accomplishments than milestones. But
Mhm.
uh, yeah, if you win throw a no hitter, for example, and you just pitched like a really good month, you weren't necessarily the best pitcher, we might still give it to you. But when you were both the best and had a feat so incredible like Kurtz did, yeah, definitely running away with it. My only qualm with calling it the best game ever is the last home run was off a position player, which does very
Which
slightly ding it.
Shohei also had a homer off of the position
He
player, no?
did.
Yes, he did absolutely, and that's just part of it. If a player is ever going to have one of these all-time performances, they are likely also going to uh, be in a blowout win.
Yeah.
Just kind of the nature of it, and you're likely going to get a bat off a position player at the end, which is unfortunate because I would love to see. I love when it's done off all pitchers. And Eugenio Suarez's 4 home run game earlier, I believe, was off all
I
actual pitchers.
believe
So,
so.
Yep.
um,
And Nick Kurtz took full advantage of the Crawford boxes.
Oh yeah.
yeah, but I don't care about that. I mean,
No.
take advantage of the stadium you're playing in.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the other really impressive thing is so the next highest WAR player at first base was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 1.1, and Nick Kurtz over doubled that in the month at 2.4. So I mean, it was really a no-brainer for all of us, even without that outstanding performance. So
Mhm.
that was potentially the easiest position that we had to select for this month.
Yeah.
Moving on to second base, though, Austin, who did we pick?
We went with a short king, a staple for a long time, a man who witnessed that fantastic game by Nick Kurtz up close in person, Jose Altuve. I mean, you can't really get rid of the guy, unfortunately. He's always seems to battle back. Uh, Over a 1,000 OPS for the month, batted 363, which all these stats sound sort of dwarfed by what Kurtz did, but that don't let that diminish.
That is not the
Uh,
standard.
that's
No.
that
Yeah.
is absolutely an exception. Uh, but yeah, a really good month. I think 21 RBI is a big part of this as well. Being able to drive in runs is important. The Astros uh, are having a pretty good season, still on top out there, and we're looking like they're maybe starting to kind of lose a foothold. But Altuve having a pretty good performance this month definitely helped them keep them afloat.
Yeah. And with some of those other additions, I think they're going to keep going and keep having a strong season. But Altuve just stays being a huge part of that team. I mean, he is going to be probably the heart and soul of that team until he retires. I don't see any reason why that's going to fall off anytime soon because every time I think that he's, getting towards the end of things, he comes out and has another month like this and just really sees the ball well and mashes. So good for Altuve.
Yep.
All right, moving on to third base now. This was another one where it was a little bit more difficult than some of these other positions that we've talked about, but we did end up going with Jose Ramirez, who did not have the best average month. He was only 265 there, but all of his counting stats were significantly better than most other players. He had 8 homers, 25 runs scored, 18 RBIs, and then 10 stolen bags. So it always surprises me seeing Jose Ramirez's stolen bags because he does not look like a guy that's going to be stealing, but his base running IQ is so high. And then pair all that with a almost 13% walk rate and an under 9% strikeout rate and his great defense at third base. And you just kind of get a great month that's pretty much always going to land you at least in the conversation, if not getting the nod like he did this month.
Yeah, we would be remiss not to mention that this very day, 2 years ago, Anderson went down right there at
Down
second.
goes Anderson.
Um, Courtesy of a Jose Ramirez right hand. But yeah, I mean, you speak about Jose Ramirez on the base paths, and that's who he's been his entire career. And that's, I think, small market team, the Guardians, that's kind of how they're built. They're just a gritty baseball team. They, run hard 90s, they steal bags, they get the extra base. We see Jose Ramirez steal home, I feel like once a year at this point. Um, but he's always looking just to find that advantage, and that's what makes him such a great baseball player because he's not the most physically imposing guy. He's 5'8", 190, but you're like, how is that guy fast? But he just figures things out, and he's got such a good understanding of the game. He's an elite hitter despite the average for this month. I mean, he's just, an all-around five-tool baseball player, and that consistency is what keeps him, around and that keeps him, in these discussions for even us talking about him as player of the month for a position. So,
Yeah, and I just want to point out on that game log down there when you see the total stats at the bottom, that's 10, that first 10 there on the left, kind of in the middle. That is strikeouts. The second one is stolen bases. So the same amount of strikeouts as stolen bases. That is ridiculous.
Just elite at the plate and on the base path. It's everything you could ask for. So moving on, Billy, who do we have at shortstop?
So our shortstop for the month is a guy that really needed to turn it around, and for a team that we thought, coming into the trade deadline, maybe they would be buyers, ended up being sellers. Willy Adames for the San Francisco Giants, who they paid a massive amount of money towards this offseason and has had frankly, a disappointing season up to this point. But he turned it around this month and, really showed the return on investment can be there. 21 RBIs with 7 homers. 337 average for the month, 205 WRC plus, which paced the position by over 20 points. So Willy Adames, I mean, up to this point in the season, he had really been, a disappointment. So to see him turn it around, see him have a good month and maybe string together a few good months to end the year, it looks like the Giants are going to be outside looking in by the time the playoffs roll around, especially with the sale they had at the deadline. Hopefully, it's something that they can build some momentum on going into next year, and he can carry out, play a good rest of the year and really get that back going. He's a good defender as well. So something the Giants really need. They need him and Devers to really be their cornerstone pieces moving forward. Now as they enter, it looks like a rebuild phase. So
Yeah, another guy who you can see the OPS just jump dramatically. Over 90 points, I think, from 645 to 738 there. His OPS jumps just in this month alone. And that's impressive to do, especially in July, for one, because it's pretty far into the season, and for two, the All-Star break is in the middle of July, so you're not playing, quite as many games as you are in the rest of the months. So, I mean, just kind of putting in work. Unfortunately, as you can see in the win-loss column, and as Billy mentioned, just not turning into wins for the Giants, but that is at no fault of Mr. Adames.
Yeah, I really thought this Giants team was going to be a lot better than it is. And I thought, getting Rafi on that roster would help them, but doesn't seem to have done that right now. We'll see what they continue to do and if they can carry any momentum going into next year. But tough season. Glad that Willie is finally stepping it up and having a good month for himself. But Austin, who do we have in center field out there? Because as you all know, we do a center fielder and then two other outfielders, but one of them at least has to be a center fielder.
We went with a young buck here, the phenom from his rookie year, Jackson Churio, back and still doing it well. As you can see, the Milwaukee Brewers went on quite a run in the middle of this month, and I believe currently still have the best record in baseball. That is how well they've been playing, and Jackson Churio is a big part of that. You can see over a 1,000 OPS, and I don't have the defensive metrics pulled up, but you can believe me when I say he is a really good defensive center fielder. Um, I think I would like to see him a little better on the base paths because I know he has the speed, but as you can see down the bottom, only 3 stolen bases compared to 2 caught stealings. That is my only like major gripe with him as a player, uh, as currently constructed, or at least during this month, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if he could get a little bit better and have some more knowledge on the base pass and maybe in the offseason work with Jose Ramirez a little bit because he's got the speed to do it if he could get some of that IQ up. But he has been a big part of the Brewers' success this year, and he really carried it through and was a big part of their success in July. So came out of the All-Star break and didn't really miss a step, which we see for a lot of people. So good for
yeah,
him.
Churio, I mean, this is obviously a guy that we've known has been capable of this based off his rookie year last year. The consistency hasn't been there this year, but to see him put it together this month, hopefully this is something he can continue throughout the rest of the year. Brewers are going to need it for sure. Um, but yeah, I think as to touch on the base running areas go, I think, this is just a young guy with a lot of speed that's probably being really aggressive on the base paths and taking opportunities when maybe he should be, not doing that. But that's never really a stat I feel like I'm gonna get too worked up about is cause stealings. Unless you start, consistently running your team out of innings, that's a problem. But, you know, if you're gunning for it, I got no problem with it as long as you aren't doing as long as it's not Kyle Schwarber out there trying to just swipe bags left and right. But um, yeah, I mean, have Churio, Brewers are hot, so
So then our other two outfield spots, I'll go ahead and list them both off, were Kyle Stowers and then Cody Bellinger. So Stowers had 10 homers, 20 ribbies, and two stolen bases with a 3.64, 4.51, and then 8.18 slash line, which is an incredible. I mean, he was kind of a last minute addition to the All-Star game, and we see exactly why. I mean, he's been probably the biggest bright spot coming out of Miami so far this year. A little surprised that they held on to him as they have a history of trading people at the deadline. And then Cody Bellinger is just continuing that success that he had last year and into this year, even though the Yankees are sliding. Again, 8 homers, 21 runs, 20 ribbies, 323, 350, 657 slash line. I mean, just two outstanding months. And it was close for one of those last positions to be filled, but there were some other guys in the conversation, but both of those were just a little bit above everybody else that we had in the conversation.
yeah, I mean, Stowers is a guy that has had a really good year. I am surprised that we didn't see him get moved, but I assume, has a lot of team control for the upcoming future. So Marlins can continue to build on that value and maybe trade him for something bigger next year. And then Bellinger, even though the Yankees are struggling, Belly had a good month, and it was very needed from him too. Another guy that had kind of been, you know, not living up to quite the expectation when he came over from the Cubs. So, Yankees definitely need it right now, especially, Judge has been a little banged up, and they've just been finding new ways to lose games, I feel like. So they need some just consistent presence in that lineup, and maybe Bellinger can be that.
Yeah, and another thing I love about Bellinger is just his ability to play all sorts of different positions. If you look at it doesn't show it here, but if you look on like Fangraphs or something where it shows sort of the position log where they're playing on defense, he is getting a lot of reps at first, center, right, and left. He will go and play wherever he is needed, and when they're dealing with injuries, that is really clutch that he's able to do that. So. I think that's a really underrated part of his game. And then when you go back over to Kyle Stowers, probably the second best month behind Nick Kurtz. That 1.269 OPS is monstrous. And I've talked about raising your OPS in a month and going a jump like that when you're down at a lower OPS is easier because a better month is going to be larger in comparison to what you've been doing, and it's easier to bring up a low OPS than it is to bring up a high OPS, if that makes sense. And he brought up a high OPS. It already was 868, and he brought it up to 949. That is really impressive to do for all the reasons that we've already mentioned, and doing it in every way with power and with contact, and just a really good ball player. I like what we're
Yeah.
seeing out of him a lot.
Yeah. So, Billy, who do we have at DH?
So DH, alluded to him earlier, that would be Kyle Schwarber. When I think about what I want out of a DH, I just want a guy that's going to get up there and mash and produce a lot of runs. And that's exactly what Kyle Schwarber did this month. Give me 1 second. Schwarby had 29 RBIs, 12 homers, 17 runs, even swiped a bag. Talked about him earlier. Hey, he's got some wheels. Don't discount him. Um, Average isn't showing up. 235 or 264 with a 235 BABIP. A lot of fly balls, a lot of ground balls. But still, what are you gonna expect out of your DH? I just want a guy that's gonna produce runs and hit some tanks, and that's exactly what Kyle Schwarber does.
Yeah. I mean, he's been seeing the ball well this year. And we were talking about it before the show. He's making a late case for himself for MVP. I mean, he's coming out and really showing out these last, 2, 3 months, especially, and really putting a good dent in that. So making a strong case right now. And if he keeps it up, he could see quite a few votes going in at the end of the year in his name.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I wonder if it does happen, if he would have the lowest batting average ever for an MVP. I know we're in an era now where batting average doesn't matter to a lot of people, but a lot of people still care about it, and I think that's going to be something that keeps him down. But it didn't. It clearly didn't hurt him here for us. A 264 average is fine. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with a 264 average. I get when people are hitting down like the 220s and people are like, okay, batting average matters a little bit. And I agree with that to an extent. 264 is absolutely fine for a batting average, especially when you drive in runs like he did this month. And that's ultimately what baseball is about scoring runs and driving in runs. And when the DH, driving in runs is basically your job. That's the only reason you're there on the team is to drive in runs. And he does that as well as anybody in baseball right now. So that is sort of the long and short of it.
Yeah. And so that takes us to a second consecutive month with no Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge in our team of the month lineup, which I don't know if we've gone 2 months in a row ever without at least one of those being on there, let alone both. So
Yeah.
kind of crazy. So, Austin, bring us to our second to last position of starting pitcher.
Starting pitcher was a little contentious for us here, but we ended up settling on a man who has firmly cemented himself in the National League Cy Young race, and that is Mr. Christopher Sanchez, also of the Philadelphia Phillies. And I mean, just really impressive stuff. In July, only a 1.95 ERA. He also throws a ton of innings, which is ultimately what it kind of came down to. But for us, because we were also looking at shout out Nate Eovaldi, who had a fantastic month, but I think it was like 30 innings or something like that, comparatively. So that one, it's a whole nother game's worth of performing at an elite level. So including a complete game in there. You can see that one game against Boston where he threw 9 innings, just one run on only 4 hits. So really impressive stuff. He has firmly cemented himself amongst the top dogs in the NL Cy Young race right now. If you can place a bet on the Cy Young winning team, it's going to be the Phillies. Yeah, you don't know which one of them right now
Yeah.
because Wheeler and Sanchez are the top two right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive to have two guys that are leading the charge that hard. I mean, you don't see that a whole lot. You see one guy that kind of runs away with it on a team, and then, maybe some other guys here and there. But Wheeler and Sanchez are both dealing. I think if Sanchez can get those strikeout numbers up, along with his innings and everything that he consistently goes out there and eats, I think he has a real good shot at making a case for himself. But he's got to get that case per nine up a little bit more.
And then ending it
And then
at
it
the
off.
reliever.
Yep, we've got the reliever, and we did go with the closer this month because he was just absolutely lights out, pretty much the perfect reliever month, and that was Kenley Jansen. So he appeared in 11 games over 11.1 innings, had 2 wins and 5 saves, and allowed 0 earned runs and 0 walks in the entire month. I mean, just everything that you can ask for in a reliever, he went out and did. He also had a 10.32 K per nine, which is, up there. It's not at the top because, you've got some guys that as relievers can get up into the 14 plus territory. We had quite a few of those this month, but all of them had some detractions where they didn't have a perfect month like Kenley Jansen did. So tip the cap to him. He is coming out and showing that he is still one of the best closers in the game.
Yeah, I love here looking at TBF on the stat line. That's total batters faced. For anyone who's not familiar. So what I like to do is I like to see how many batters they faced, and that includes walks, which aren't, at bats, but counts as a batter faced for a pitcher. And I like to look at how many hits and walks they gave up compared to how many batters they faced. And yeah, four combined batters reaching base out of 37 possible, 37 plate appearances against. So that is just tremendous.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So that is going to do it for our July team of the month. I'll run through the whole squad for you guys. At catcher, we had Salvador Perez. First base, Nick Kurtz. Second, Jose Altuve. Third was J Ram. Shortstop, Willie Adames. And center field, Jackson Churio. And then the other two outfielders were Kyle Stowers and Cody Bellinger. DH, Kyle Schwarber. Starting pitcher, Christopher Sanchez. And then the reliever slash closer was Kenley Jansen. So that is a damn good squad that we put together right there this month, I think.
Always
Yeah,
is.
yeah, definitely. And not quite as many like like a lot of stars, but not quite the big superstars in this one, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, for sure.
But that is going to do it for us this month. Austin, do we have an ad read?
Um, Not anything in particular, I don't think. Just a lot of stuff going on box score right now, though. We're preparing for football season here at the Box Score Network. So get ready for a whole bunch of NFL related content coming your way soon.
Yeah, as of this week, we have made it through the last weekend of no football on our TVs. We've got NFL preseason starting, and we might talk a little bit about some of the preseason games. I know we typically don't, but some interesting quarterback battles, especially. I know coming out of Billy and I's team and a few other places, we've got some interesting conversations to be had. So we'll see how some of these guys do in these preseason matchups. But other than that, we will be talking about football a lot more and very, very soon. So until then, peace out, and we will be back next week.
See ya.
Later.